130 of our fight for freedom and independence, and I thank everyone who is telling the world truth about this war. So in a nutshell about our today's schedule, at 1:30 p.m. we'll get in touch with Serhiy Brachuk, head of the Public Council under the Odessa Regional State Administration and spokesman of the head of Regional Military Administration. We'll be speaking about the situation in Odessa region, and just now we'll be speaking about the consequences of Russian shelling for infrastructure of our country. Our speaker today is Dmytro Novytskyi, president of the association Ukrvodokanalekolohiia. So, Dmytro, we welcome you here, please. Hello, dear viewers and listeners. I'd like to mention instantly that really our system of electrical provision and water supply was under target because Russia wanted to disseminate panic. The shelling which took place on Monday and Tuesday, and as far as I understand will go on for some time, has undoubtedly aimed to disseminate panic, and also just before the winter they would like to totally destroy our infrastructure. So it is done according to the strategy which Russia has taken as one of the tools or their weapons. This strategy looks like follows. They are not capable at the front line to achieve any of the successes, thanks God. That is why they have to impact onto us, onto the opinions of the public, of the population, of our residents and our consumers. That is why I'd like to assure you that our water canal community, the heads of our enterprises and the employees are defending their own frontline, communal frontline, in each of the cities. As of today, we are providing the high-quality drinking water, the reliable canalization system, and the services which are provided, as of today, are provided to the full extent, fully. The water canals are totally provided with the necessary equipment according to the requirements of the state sanitary rules and regulations. So we have an opportunity as of today to award contracts with the suppliers of the materials and spare parts for quick and rapid repairment works and maintenance works. There are some of the issues, of course, which we are capable to solve together with the Ministry, with the National Commission of Energy and Communal Services. These issues which emerge are rapidly implementing amendments to the acting legislation for the functioning of our enterprises to take place in a stable manner. And altogether, undoubtedly, before the war and before such attacks, it would be really hard to be ready for 100%, but as of today, we are conducting necessary measures. As you know, on Monday there was the attack against 8 our regions. More than 100 of objects of energy sphere and water supply were under attack. Unfortunately, it took place in Kyiv as well, on the crossroads of the Shevchenko Boulevard and Volodymyrska Street. We rather quickly got rid of the consequences of this emergency. The road cover is restored. In other cities, our water infrastructure has had some complications as well, because the supply had to be suspended in Lviv, Sumy, Mykolaiv, and other cities, where undoubtedly we were able, and somehow I can't use the presentation. We were able to restore the canalization pump stations work and the cleaning equipment. You can see the example on the screen. This is the example of the work during the night of the employees of the water canal. Okay, Let us just communicate then. Our technical team will help you with the presentation now. Okay. So I'd like to mention that the problematic situations which emerge as of today in the water utilities of Ukraine were formally divided into three categories. The water and wastewater treatment plants which are located in the combat areas, the water services companies which are located in the zone of risks, where the shellings are possible, though we can see that they even shell the western regions, including Lviv. Yesterday, it took place as well, but much less. And also the water service companies of our western part of Ukraine, they have their own issues connected with the increase of the number of consumers. That is why the number of emergencies took place as well. But the first and the second group of water utilities are quickly restoring after the situations connected with the missiles and bomb strikes. And of course, we got support from the international financial organizations. Most of all, we are cooperating with the International Committee of Red Cross. I'd like to emphasize that because recently there was the situation when there were accusations that the Red Cross, as if closed and stopped their work. In fact, it's not true. I would ask our technical employees to show a short video, which is very short now, but it shows, in fact, the work with the Red Cross. So I'd like to mention that as of today, thanks to this organization, we are providing the centralized water supply for 8 million of the residents of Ukraine. As of today, they provide the procurement of the necessary substances for us to provide the high quality of water. They provide the requirement of reagents, reactive chemicals, and some of the equipment for the water utilities to function properly. Moreover, we've supplied a huge amount of bottles of drinking water to Donetsk region and water tanks to supply water there. Let's watch the video.
Ходим каждый день, набираем техническую воду, значит, питьевую. В одном месте за технической, в другой за питьевой.
Воды, к сожалению, нету в кранах. Проблема и попить, і в туалет сходити.
Люди, які постраждали від бойових дій, вкрай потребують допомоги. Їжа, ліки, матеріали для відновлення житла та чиста питна вода.
По саме цій ділянці, де ми зараз знаходимося, було декілька прильотів з міномета.
Значно ускладнюють ситуацію пошкодження важливої інфраструктури, зокрема системи водопостачання.
Идут боевые действия, и при любых сотрясениях там происходят порывы.
Коли за низьких температур вода перестає надходити, її замерзання може спричинити ще більші пошкодження трубопроводів. Це важливо з наближенням зими. Міжнародний комітет Червоного Хреста співпрацює з українськими комунальними службами, а також з партнерами з Червоного Хреста та Червоного Півмісяця. Разом ми допомогли понад 8 мільйонам людей по всій країні мати доступ до чистої питної води. Міжнародний комітет Червоного Хреста працює з півсотнею комунальних підприємств і адміністрацій задля відновлення централізованих систем водопостачання та водовідведення. Поблизу лінії фронту ми постачаємо водоканалам хімікати для очищення води, допомагаємо усувати пошкодження та підвищувати стійкість інфраструктури. Там, де звичне життя поступово відновлюється, Міжнародний комітет Червоного Хреста підтримує водоканали у відбудові базової інфраструктури. У містах, де робота централізованих систем порушена, Міжнародний комітет Червоного Хреста надає чисту питну воду, передає автоцистерни, баки для води та інші засоби, щоб найнагальніші потреби були задоволені. Це здійснюється у співпраці з водоканалами, Державною службою з надзвичайних ситуацій, місцевими адміністраціями та Червоним Хрестом України. 24 екскаватори, 21 автоцистерна, 6 мобільних водоочисних установок, мікроавтобуси, а ще крани та вантажівки для перекачування стічних вод. Такою технікою Міжнародний комітет Червоного Хреста підтримує важливу роботу водоканалів. І попереду заплановано ще більше допомоги.
Okay, thank you. Besides the Red Cross, as an association we are working with UNICEF. We are cooperating with them, and this is the international organization which, from behalf of the UN, has created and curating the WASH cluster, the cluster which is created to work with water canals. So now we are creating the united database of the needs of water canals which emerge because of the war. In this way, we will offer funding through different means, including the mechanisms of the state support, the mechanisms of international technical assistance. So in this way we can see at the first stage some of the help for the water canals to restore water supply where there is such an issue. Some of the long-term programs will be separated in another pool, and we will do that during the recovery of Ukraine. Such measures and mechanisms are already being developed to quicker achieve the full recovery of the branch as it is after the victory. Dmytro, we faced the situation that because of the missile shellings by Russians, we have some of the massive disconnection of air power supply. We understand that it can lead to the pumps suspended as well, and it can impact the water supply. So whether these emergency suspension of pump functioning really impact our system? Thank you. That's a reasonable question, because as far as we understand, the infliction of harm to the power system leads to the shutdown of water supply. That is why the water utilities developed some of the measures and events which foresee the opportunity to supply water both in the centralized way, that is from other sources of power supply. I mean the systems which could be using the generators' power, diesel generators, fuel generators, petroleum ones, because you do understand that huge capacities of the pump utilities of water canal cannot be fully provided. So we foresee other opportunities to provide the population with water, both in the centralized way and decentralized as well. As of decentralized, the majority of water canals were promoting the issue of delivering water with the use of additional tanks, with the use of delivery trucks. You could hear in this video that there were additional water tanks and trucks acquired to provide water delivery. Besides that, the state now allocates certain money from the Ministry of Regional Development, does that to procure additional equipment, including power generators, including tanks, including water trucks, which could quickly respond on the situation which could emerge because of the suspension of water supply. What about the hot tap water? We understand that hot water supply provides additional load onto our systems, and in the bigger cities, we do understand it will be shut down as well. First of all, will our system stand through these shutdowns, considering that the winter is close? And secondly, what should the people be ready for? Will they have hot tap water? The water canals are not responsible for the hot tap water service. As a representative of the water canal community, I'd like to say that if there is no water, of course there won't be anything to heat. So our task is to provide the minimum volume, at least a minimum volume of cold water supply. As of the hot water, in my opinion, maybe thankfully, maybe unfortunately, in lots of the cities, we have the centralized system of hot tap water supply. And of course, it also can be under risks which emerged during the shellings and the shutdowns of the systems of generation of heat power and energy for their heating. So it will also impact the society as it is. We need to be ready for these services to be restricted or limited. That is why now, in some of the cities which are affected by shellings more, we have the recommendation to store a certain reserve of water, at least to provide the stay in one room for about a day, 2 or 3. As of their hot tap water supply, this is the hard issue. If there are no power supply, we cannot heat the water. But I'd like to focus your attention that the house networks and grids will be also overloaded. There will be the risk of some of the emergencies on the systems of power supply in the houses themselves. So the residents, the consumers, still need to be conscious while using the electrical appliances, both for the heating and heating the water. We all know about the situation in Mykolaiv, which almost doesn't have drinking water. Is there a threat for other bigger cities that they could face such issue as well? As of Mykolaiv, situation is really unique because the water utility, unfortunately, is still on the occupied territory. That is why, knowing the strategy of Russian Federation, which I mentioned above, when they destroy the water supply systems, they would like to disseminate panic. That is why they totally destroyed the water pipeline which led to the sanitation systems of Mykolaiv. So Mykolaiv had to use the centralized water supply system, the water which is semi-salty, though it has some of the technical systems which are processing them, but it's not desirable to drink it. I would say it is prohibited to drink it, because this is the water from the coastal salt lake. So answering the question what will happen in Mykolaiv, we need to use the centralized water supply system, at least while we design the project how to provide Mykolaiv from other sources. We are now have done lots of steps by the Ministry of Regional Development and international financial organizations which assisted to procure the system of decentralized processing of water, that is the reverse osmosis and so on. As of other water canals, the risks are always there because, of course, the water inlets and intake structures are always the objects of critical infrastructure. We must get ready for possible shutdowns, and we need to develop some of the efficient measures how to solve the issue and provide the residents with the water. And again, I'm speaking about the wells, I'm speaking about the alternative sources of water supply in case of the lack of energy resources and power generators of different capacities, we calculated in our association some of the cities up to 100,000 of population, maybe up to 300, 400,000 of population, the objects of water infrastructure can be provided with power generators, which will be able to provide water to the network, to the grid. The cities with the bigger numbers of population, they have rather powerful pump utilities. So it's very hard to provide them with power generators. That is why we need to develop some other measures, different measures, which would provide the consumers with the water. Dear colleagues, are there any questions? Oksana Polishuk, Ukrinform. Dmytro, could you please tell what's the sum of money can you assess the losses inflicted to our water canals by the war? As of today, I was not the one who calculated this sum of money. It was done by the World Bank through some structure. I don't remember the name. Well, at least UNDP and World Bank say that it should be at least $6 billion. But I am sure that this sum is much bigger, because we did not provide the full analysis of the destroyed objects of infrastructure in the liberated cities. Moreover, we do not see what is taking place beyond the front line in the cities which we will liberate soon, and we don't know the situation there. As an example, I can tell you that some small town of Balaklia has the fully destroyed canalization pump station, the main station which collects the sewage from the whole town. As of today, we need to pump out and to take out the wastewater and sewage by the vehicles. We are urgently restoring the infrastructure. It is hard to assess whether it will be done quickly. Now we are thinking on the simplification of the procedure of design and also the permissions for the construction works, for those works on the recovery of infrastructure to be done according to different procedures, which could be much quicker. As for the money, yes, we heard the sum of money of 6 billion, but I'm sure it's times and times bigger. One more question. What's the dynamics of payments and debts for the water supply payment in 2022? I need to say that the heads of water utilities are grateful to our consumers, I mean conscious consumers, who under the situation when the payment capacity decreased, they pay for the water rather regularly. We really have the decrease in payments, but in the majority of cases it is connected because our residents left for different areas. I may tell you, for instance, as for Kyiv city or Kharkiv, moreover, Sumy, rather big number of consumers left. However, those who are staying are regularly paying, almost fully paying for the water services. So we're using the ratios of the decrease in the accounts according to the number of consumers who are living in the settlement. Thanks to the National Commission on the Energy Regulation and Communal Services, this calculation has been done not to provide the increased sums of money for payment. But as of today, the water canal doesn't get substantial money, and today it is very hard for us to perform our functions in the proper way, as the funding is the issue which is very relevant, and we need to solve it as of today. I thank you. I do remind you we had Dmytro Novytskyi, president of the Association of Ukrvodokanalekolohiia. Dear colleagues, I thank you that you've joined us. Dmytro, in several minutes we'll be speaking about the situation in Odessa region.